right, hello wine drinking people. Today is Friday, October 8th. We're back at you with what I drank yesterday. We got a long day yesterday here in the store. A lot of suppliers. It's that time of year, O-N-D, baby. In the retail business, that means money. So very busy the next couple of months, and a lot of retail businesses do up to 70-80% of their business. We spread it out a little bit more here at the Wine Watch. All right, well, let's see what we had to drink yesterday. First up, we had Charles from Roland de Bie, and Bordeaux. Just a great white wine to start the day out with, man. This is a small company that one of the few people that specialize in Bordeaux in our market, and some great stuff. The first wine, Blignan from Medoc. Wow, $16. Are you kidding me? 05 vintage. Beautiful little wine, classic Bordeaux. We will have this wine in the store. I haven't had a better value all year in Bordeaux, and really drinking nicely. As I mentioned before, classic Bordeaux, a little bit of red currant, plum-like fruit on the nose, fresh herbs, a little earth, smooth red currant, plum fruit on the palate, a little bit of that coffee and tobacco spice you get from Bordeaux. A really nice drink it now Bordeaux at $15 a bottle from the 2005 vintage from the Medoc, not a Bordeaux Superior. All right, excellent juice. As you can tell, I'm very excited about that. All right, Prieur de Meunier, which is the second wine of Chateau Meunier from Saint Estèphe, was next. Another very good value, but around 25 bucks, 10 bucks more. Maybe not 10 bucks more wine, but hey, this is a very famous property, and you pay for reputation in Bordeaux. And Saint Estèphe, also a very expensive zip code. Dried tobacco spice, ground coffee notes, red plum, currant fruit, a little gravelly minerality there, and still some tannins, a bit firm here, but you know, really rounding out, drinking nice. A lot of these second wines made to be drunk young. Then next up, the first 07, major 07 that I've had. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think someone brought me Lynch Badge and some other stuff. And, you know, the nose on these wines, very nice. This is Spirit de Chevalier, which we have the 2000 vintage in the store for about the same price. Hello. All right. Well, like I said, the nose a little better than the actual palate. These 207, a light vintage. And I think this is the first year the Bordelais sold a major amount of wine to the Japanese, man. When they found out that these Bordelais sold them subpar vintage at way high prices, man, they're going to be pissed off about 10 years down the road. But right now, the wines are pretty good. If they drink them now, they're in good shape. You hold on to these 07s too long, like I said, lighter style vintage. All right, next up, the Tour Syrah. This is a wine that Joel Robuchon has selected as his one of the wines he pours in his restaurant. And fresh barnyard notes on the nose, fine herbs, black spice, dark currants, and black plum-like fruit. Ripe and seductive on the palate, as 03 was a very hot year. These wines drinking very nice. Fairly rustic on the finish, though, still. Definitely no mistaking this one for a California Cabernet. Really nice little wine. All right, next up, we have the Chateau Quinault Close, 2002. 2002, not a very good vintage in Bordeaux. I don't know if you've heard about that, but this wine's a little expensive. I mean, a great wine. I can sell you 2000 vintage for the same price. Do I need to say anything more about this? All right. 03, Haute Condescence. This is a wine from Medoc that is outstanding quality. I remember the last Bordeaux tasting we did that this was in it, which was in January at the Tower Club. It was the best wine on the table. And not that there was any first gross or anything there, but there was some pretty good wine. But this is a rocking little Medoc. Wonderful bouquet of aromas on the nose, a full complement of black currant, fresh plowed earth, espresso, and cocoa nuts. Really exotic toasty oak spice here. Smooth and polished on the tongue. There's that 2003 vintage. Really warm, really round tannins. Drinking very nice right now, but has a long, complex finish of wine you could definitely put aside in your cellar for a little while. Excellent. All right. Well, next up, it's always nice to have, you know, one of the top producers in from any area. And Quintessa, to me, even though they do not get the scores, to me, it's one of the best wines made in Napa every year. And I had the 2007 Quintessa with good friend Kelly, who just started working for the Augustin Huneeus people. And hey, we got Augustin Jr. coming, and this may be our first event with Trina Restaurant with Chef Mark Militello. He called me yesterday when he saw this on our counter, says, hey, I know Augustin Jr. Can we do it here? And I said, absolutely, Mark, as long as you can find me a space to fit 25 people in. We're going to be showing several of the single plot wines from Quintessa. We've done this tasting several times before. It's been very successful. Well, the 07 Quintessa, a blockbuster, most excellent. This is one of the best 07s that I've had. To me, This wine has all about elegance and finesse. It doesn't hit you over the head with oak. It doesn't kill your palate with concentration, but it just has everything in place. A beautiful wine. Faust, a lot of people look at this as the second wine of Quintessa. It is not. It's made from a vineyard in Combsville. Less than 5% of the juice from their Rutherford estate goes into the Faust. This is a bigger wine. This is why they show it after Quintessa. May confuse some people. It's less expensive. What? Why would they serve the cheap, expensive wine first? Well, Faust, not quite as refined as Quintessa, does kind of hit you over the head a little bit more with brute strength and with that oak, but still a very nice wine. All right, well, next up we had some wines from Christopher Cannon's selection with Mock Diamond, and some classic wines from a classic winery in Rioja, Quinault, the Blanc Monopole, 100% Viura, really bright bouquet of apple and pear-like fruit with lime citrus, very clean and fresh, and very clean, really neat price too, $12. Next up, we had a little Jean-Max Roger Sancerre. This wine has this lovely, nice tropical fruit. I don't know if you'd mistake it for a New Zealand Pinot Noir, Sauvignon Blanc, but it had similar qualities, that papaya and kiwi note, and then this lovely, healthy lime citrus fruit, and a little wet rock kind of minerality. Really nice concentration and depth of fruit on the palate. Lovely richness, finishing, leaving your tongue salivating for food. One of the things we love about European-style wines. All right, next up we had the Crianza from Quinault, and this is 80% Tempranillo. The rest is Mazuelo and Garnacho, or rather Garnacho and Mazuela in that order. And a classic Rioja bouquet, strawberry, light red berry fruit, notes of toasty oak, coconut, smoky herb note there also. Lovely freshness on the tongue, light red berry fruit, echoing that herb and spice note through the finish. Really nice, classic Rioja. Got $13.50. Amazing the value you can still get from Spain. Next up, we had a Chateau from Domaine Lucien. This is a great producer, 80% Grenache, 20% Syrah, and lovely. 2007 is a great vintage for Chateau. You can almost close your eyes and point and get good wines from almost anybody. This one had that classic garrigue quality, the dried herbs and flowers with a fresh berry pie type fruit to it. Really nice and chewy on the tongue, lots of tannins, great underlying acidity. This wine needs a little time. Next up, the best producer in sherry, or in Jerez, Lustau, and this is their East Indian Solera sherry. Hey, Solera is somewhat misunderstood in this country. When I was in Spain, they told me, we did demographics on who drinks Spain in your country, and we found that 80% of the people that drink sherry in the U.S. are unemployed. Well, they were looking at sherry as a category, including the sherries that are made in the United States that most people cook with. So the great sherries of south of Spain, there really is nothing like them. And the dessert ones seem to travel the best. And this wine has got Palomino mostly, and a little bit of Pedro Jimenez in it. That's the sweet grape that you see in the sweeter styles of sherries. More similar to like a cream sherry in style. Dates, figs, sun-dried fruits, brown sugar, molasses, cocoa, really exotic walnuts and hazelnuts. I love sherry. To me, they're some of the most complex wines in the world. Sweet, but still fresh on the finish. Lovely acidity here. All right, then, can you believe it? We're still going, folks. I'm like the Energizer Bunny of wine tasters here, right? We had a Roman sommelier in, and from Anrnaldo Capri Winery, from Montefalco, kind of in the middle of Italy there, right in Umbria. And this is a winery we're very familiar with. We've had Marco Capri in a few years ago at Cafe Max. We did a lovely tasting with him in the back room. We sold not one bottle of wine. And our sommelier friend was trying to convince me that Anrnaldo Capri was by far the best producer in the region, which, hey, I'm not ignorant about, wines from Montefalco. I know that he won this big award in Italy, the greatest producer in Italy, but don't tell me that, these other wines are not as good. That's not how you sell wine to me. Just let the wine speak for itself. I think there are a lot of other people making great wines in Montefalco today. And Anrnaldo Capri, definitely one of the best. The Grechetto, very pretty nose, clay soil, definitely showing through in the minerality there. Green apple, lemon citrus, notes of white flowers. A really nice, pretty, fresh, and clean wine with distinct minerality and a short but very pleasing finish. Then we had the Grecante, which this wine was definitely much more concentrated and rich. Lovely minerality on the nose, chalk-like minerals, notes of light flowers, a bit austere with some lovely green apple and a lime citrus fruit. The wine may not have had as much fruit in it, but it definitely had more concentration. You could tell it with a little time, maybe with a little airing, that fruit may come out a little bit more, but definitely a little longer. Really nice, unique white wine. Next up, we had the Amina, and Amina means spirit. Amina of Umbria, the spirit of Umbria is supposed to be this wine. This wine had some Sangiovese, mostly Sangiovese, maybe just a tiny bit of Sagrantino in it, which is the great grape of Montefalco. Light cherry berry fruit, fresh herbs, light stone-like minerality, soft and smooth on the tongue with some fresh earthy notes. Very light, but very pleasant finish. Light on the price tag as well, $12.75. All right, then we had the Montefalco Rosso. We're getting up here in concentration. This is a very distinct wine because of the terroir here. This herbs and almost sun-dried plum and dried flower note. Really light and savory with a good hand of fresh earth and herbs on the finish. Really nice and distinctive wine. Maybe a little bit expensive, but hey, the best wines from the best producers usually are. We didn't have his top wine, but we did have the Colipiano, which is Sagrantino 100%, almost Bordeaux-like on the nose with a good hand of fresh herbs, earth, dried mushrooms, light cocoa spice, dried plum and currant berry fruit. Excellent concentration and depth of fruit flavors on the palate, and like I said, a nice hand of earth and distinct minerality here. Really nice bottle of wine, and unfortunately, they didn't have their top wine, but I've had it before. Outstanding. Well, I haven't had this vintage. All right, well, I'm having wine with dinner, and last night we had a little tasting first at the New River Fine Art Gallery, one of our events, first event, maybe the only event we were doing to plug our event on November 5th, the Symphony of the Americas Wines of the World. Our good friend Jed Steele is going to be the vintner host this year, so we brought some of Steele's wines by, the Sauvignon Blanc, Shooting Star, a great crowd pleaser, light and crisp from Lake County, where Jed's from, and then we had a little Pinot Blanc from Santa Barbara County. Jed has worked with growers all over the state of California. He's made wines. His career spanned 4 decades. I always joke with him, Jed, you've been making wine longer than I've been alive. But a good friend, and I'm glad to have him here on November 5th. He'll be our very first featured vintner. And we had some Cabernet Franc. We had some Roussanne Writer's Block. We had the Cabernet Sauvignon Red Hills. And we had one of my favorite wines in the store, the Stymie Merlot. This is his Reserve Merlot. And we had this at Brown Bag a few weeks ago. A wine definitely typical in Merlot in that it's more in the front of your mouth. Lovely sweet plum fruit, but still has enough concentration to make you think in the back of your mind, Cabernet Sauvignon. Great stuff last night. That's what I had to drink yesterday. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.